It's time to sharpen up those edges and grease up your chains.
We are going to live it up with mountain life. Dropping in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up, mountain lifers? How's your summer? Are you keeping cool? Avoiding the swimmer's itch? Is your paddleboard holding air? Did you misplace your fin? Don't do that. You need the fin. Unless you ditch the paddleboard altogether and get a kayak or a canoe. That's what I would do. Sure. Paddleboards are the most versatile watercraft probably ever invented. You can even use them as a sleeping pad for camping. But I like kayaks more. And not just because the word kayak is a palindrome. But that's neither here nor there, because you're listening to Live It Up with Mountain Life, episode 50. My name is Feet Banks, and Sandy Ward is on the show today. Is Sandy an avid paddleboarder? I do not know. I didn't even think to ask that. Partly because what Sandy is a professional snowboarder and mountain biker and a rising star filmmaker. So mostly we talk about that. And that's fitting because Crankworx is happening right now in Whistler, and Sandy has a film premiering Wednesday, July 24th in the Diaries competition, held in the open-air theater of the Whistler Olympic Plaza. Are you going? Are you one of the 17 million people coming to Whistler for Crankworx? If you are, make sure to hit up the Diaries. This is a big deal and a big step in Sandy's new career in filmmaking and in her continuing journey as an indigenous female athlete in an industry that's traditionally been mostly run as a white dude sausage party. And we'll get into that more after this short break from our friends and partners over at Jack Wolfskin, makers of quality and sustainable outdoor clothing, gear, and footwear. Jack Wolfskin is here with your weekly weather report. Rain is in the forecast, but that shouldn't be a problem thanks to their weatherproof tech support technology. Tech support is Jack Wolfskin's exclusive weather protection that's used in their jackets, shoes, packs, and more. Tech support gear is built to keep you comfortable and dry, so the rain will stop before you do. Jack Wolfskin. We live to discover. A little rain actually wouldn't be the end of the world these days, but okay, Sandy Ward. Cinematically, she began making waves last winter with the release of a flick called Slides on the Mountain, which documents two young skiers from the Lilwat Nation as they ski Tizil, a.k.a. the mountain that towers right above their home, a.k.a. Mount Curry, one of the classic ski descents in the South Coast Mountains. The boys, Talon and Ricky, become the first Lilwat skiers to ski the mountain. Sandy, a snowboarder herself, rode Tizil the winter before and became the very first Lilwat Nation member to ever slide that iconic mountain. As an indigenous woman with a 2-decade and counting career in outdoor sports, Sandy is a trailblazer and a game changer. Through groups like Indigenous Women Outdoors and her own biking program with the Lilwat Nation, Sandy is helping expose a new generation of youth to their own ancestral landscapes through the sports she loves. And she's a pro biker, pro snowboarder, and filmmaker, and training to be an outdoor guide. So yeah, pretty freaking busy. But she took the time to catch up with me in a quiet corner of Pemberton Meadows a few weeks back. We recorded this outside, so if you hear birds chirping or the occasional tractor ripping by to flip the hay in the fields, that's why. All right, let's do it. Here's me talking to Sandy Ward. I want to start with your traditional name. Kelkeláokik?
Kelkeláokik.
Kelkeláokik.
Yes.
I understand it means the thunder ptarmigan?
Literal translation would be the thunder ptarmigan.
When did you get that name? Because a ptarmigan is a bird of the mountains. You know, you're an entity of the mountains. It's kind of a winter bird. You know, you're a professional snowboarder and mountain biker, but I think of you more of a snowboarder. Did you have that name ever since you were born, or?
No, my uncle gifted me this name about 4 years ago because of the work that I do with the youth and the women in my nation, trying to get them out onto the land and different sports. And so the Kelkeláokik was actually considered a transformer or a thunderbird kind of change maker. So he saw it as me changing the way that people looked at Indigenous people in the outdoors.
Awesome. Wow. Great name. And I'm glad now that I've heard you say it, I won't mess it up next time. You're just back from America on a bike trip. We're coming into Diaries in a couple weeks. You're trying to finish a film for that. How's the stress level these days?
High, very, very high. But we're getting there. The project has consumed a lot of my personal time in the last couple of months, and I'm very, very thankful for the crew that I have and the support that they have given me throughout the whole process. And I'm pretty stoked to show the film during Crankworx, and yeah, like it's just can't wait to see everybody's reactions.
Can you explain a little bit about the rules of the Dirt Diaries, or just for people that aren't familiar with it? How long is the film? What are the parameters around making it?
So I was selected on May 1st, and we could start filming right away. So we had about 11 weeks to create a 4 to 6 minute film, 25% of which has to be filmed in the Whistler Valley itself. And then after that, you can be anywhere else in the world. We did decide to keep it a little bit more local because, wow, working with everybody's schedules for traveling is really hard.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, this is your home. You know, you grew up in the Pemberton Valley. You know, you're part of the Lilwat Nation. Your career of late has been, you know, getting Nation members out into the land, letting people understand, you know, the connection towards the land, feeling that connection. I want to go back a little bit to, you know, what do you remember of your first time being out in the mountains?
My first time.
Was it like, you know, in a sport, I guess in a sport?
Well, one of my earliest memories of being out in the mountains was probably hiking Joffrey Lakes before all of the shenanigans it is now.
Yeah.
And all the trail upgrades. I was probably 6 years old, and I just remember bushwhacking through Devil's Club, which would probably deter a lot of the people that go out there now.
Totally. And there was huge, like, rock to scramble over.
Yeah, and being 6 years old and doing that kind of thing, of course it was going to be implemented in my memory as something that was like gnarly and fun, and like just getting outside and learning about the land. And yeah, it was really cool. I just really fond memories of that area.
And what about, when did you start getting into snowboarding?
I started working at a coffee shop in Whistler, and I just would see all the snowboarders looking so cool walking through the village, and I was like, oh, I want to try that. And so I saved up my first 2 paychecks. I bought a snowboard, boots, and bindings from the shop next door, and my friend taught me how to snowboard, and I broke my wrist the first day. But that really didn't stop me. I got back out with a cast about a week later, because that's the best form of wrist guard, right?
Yeah,
a cast.
yeah.
Can't move it. And yeah, I just kind of fell in love with it from there.
And how old were you then? 15, 16 kind of thing?
Yeah, 15, 16 years old.
You must have learned pretty quickly. Like by the time you were 18, you were teaching snowboarding, you were competing, or?
Yeah, the first day I was getting my turns, like my friend, she didn't know how to teach, so she took me to the top of Whistler Gondola and was like, here, I'll just show you how to do it and just do what I do. And I was able to turn about maybe halfway down the mountain. I was linking my turns, and we made it all the way to the village. And then we were like, okay, well, let's go up the Excalibur Gondola, and rode down that. And it was somewhere where the tube park is now. It wasn't there back then.
Yeah.
Where I took the tumble where I think I broke my wrist. But yeah, fully linking turns. And I remember one of the mountain safety people, because I used to work up at the Roundhouse, was like, wow, you're like a natural at that. You should become an instructor. And so I got my instructor certification through the First Nation snowboard team, which I joined when I was maybe 18 years old, and immediately got the CASI level 1 and started teaching for the mountain the next year when I was 19.
And were you also, I know you competed halfpipe with that team for a while, or?
Yeah, I started out with border cross and then moved into the halfpipe because I liked that. I preferred it. And that's where I made it onto the BC Freestyle team, and I started traveling with them to contests across Canada, and we did some in America just to like get that experience of a higher level contest. And yeah, and then it was kind of like after 2010, all of my funding tended to just dry up, and it was kind of forgotten about. And I went more into coaching and getting the youth from Lilwat out into the mountains.
Was the Olympics, was that a dream for you early on in snowboarding, to be an Olympic competitor? Or?
It was funny because when I first got the invite to the First Nation snowboard team, the phone call was literally, we're looking for local athletes to maybe podium at the 2010 Olympics. And it was like snowboarding for like, what, a year or two? I was like, all right, let's go. So I guess it was kind of in the back of my head a little bit, but I really didn't know if I could do anything like that. Like, yeah, it was just such an intimidating goal. And I think that put a lot of pressure on a lot of us that were part of the original First Nation snowboard team to really try to become these athletes. But it was, I think after 2010, it shifted more towards creating recreational programs for the Indigenous youth in the area.
Yeah, which, I mean, on the one hand, instead of trying to get 2 kids onto a podium, why not get 20 or 200 kids out onto the mountain? Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it makes more sense to me. What about biking? Like, were you just the same as every kid, ripping around on a bike?
No, I thought biking was really nerdy when I was in high school, actually. And it wasn't until I was in my, I feel like, early 30s. One of my friends, she was a girl that I taught snowboarding. She had gotten into mountain biking, but then moved back to Australia and started a family. And so she was looking for someone to take her bike. And she was just like, if you can get to Kelowna to pick up the bike, you can have it. And I was like, all right, sweet. So I got in my truck, went to Kelowna, picked up a Kona Supreme Operator, and I bought my bike park pass for the season, and I started riding and loved it. And then I hated it, and then I loved it again. So like, it's a kind of a love-hate situation the first maybe 4 years of riding. And then once I started to actually like progress and hit jumps and feel confident on the thing, then it was like, all right, this is my life now.
There must have been a little bit of a woman's scene in both snowboarding and biking, but traditionally, those are white dude sports, mostly male dominated industry wise, especially. Was there hurdles around that as you learned either of those sports, where here I am, an Indigenous woman in these sports that are, you might have been, for some people, the first time anyone had seen an Indigenous woman doing those sports?
Yeah, well, the First Nations snowboard team, there was 3 of us. It was Chelsea McCutcheon, Jonathan Redman, and myself. And unfortunately, Jonathan passed away pretty early on. And then Chelsea went and started a family. So it was just me, and it felt really uncomfortable because I had been riding with these people for my entire snowboard career up until then. And then I felt alone, and I was kind of left there, and it got really scary. And I don't know, I just tried to make the best of it. And then with the start of the recreational program for the Indigenous youth here, I started coaching that, and I could see the kids grow, and it was just a really amazing experience for me to be a part of a community like that. But yeah, for as an Indigenous woman, it felt uncomfortable at times.
I know you said I read somewhere that somebody told you that splitboarders can't become mountain guides, yeah. and it threw you back 10 years of a dream.
Yeah. When I was doing my avalanche skills training 1, I was hitchhiking between Mount Currie and Whistler to do the course. I got picked up by a mountain guide. I don't know who it was. But yeah, I told him that, yeah, maybe one day I want to be a splitboard guide. And he told me right then, no, you can't do that because you're a splitboarder. And so I stopped because I believed in him.
Yeah.
And then
you'd already done it.
Yeah. And then, 10 years down the road, we see Christine Filecki, first female splitboard guide in Canada. And I'm like, wait, you can be a splitboarder and a guide. And so, yeah, I started on that journey again. And yeah, it's been an amazing couple of years.
Was that post 2010 when you started getting into splitboarding in the backcountry, or were you doing that before?
I was after 2010. I met my partner in New Zealand, and he was a ski patroller in France. So we ended up doing a season in Chamonix, and he got me out on snowshoes. Don't recommend that.
Yeah.
And when I got back to Canada, I bought a splitboard, and we started touring together, and he taught me everything that I knew going into the operations level 1 course. And so I really thank him for getting me out there and planting that seed.
He's a skier too, so it's always nice to see the harmonious nature of
Yeah.
the Romeo and Juliet of the skier-snowboarder relationship.
Yeah, he towed me down the Vallée Blanche in Chamonix, which is like one of the longest glaciers, but it's also really flat, so not snowboard friendly.
Yeah.
So we actually created this tow rope using our ski poles, and he towed me out of the Vallée Blanche.
Perfect. Yeah. It's a good partner to have. It must have been crazy, coming from small town British Columbia, and obviously you traveled a bit with snowboarding, but all of a sudden you're living in France, in Chamonix, the be-all and end-all of mountain culture in some people's minds.
Yeah, I find it really funny. Like, with all the sports that I do, I learn in the best places. So with skiing and snowboarding, I learned in Whistler. With rock climbing, I went to La Gorge de Verdun, which is the Grand Canyon of Europe. With mountain biking, I learned in Whistler. With ski touring, I learned in Chamonix.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but these places just can't, I guess, call to me, and then I go and learn something new.
Did you find it as easy to pick up the other sports, biking and rock climbing? Were you as a quick learner of that as you were like snowboarding?
Rock climbing took a while. Yeah, it's a kind of a long journey into rock climbing, but mountain biking, I feel like it came a little bit more natural to me, just being in the air and going fast. It was something that came from snowboarding and especially half pipe. So yeah, my progression in mountain biking has been pretty quick, I feel.
How's your French? Much French? Did you do French in high school?
I did. It does not help you in France.
Yeah.
I would go and order a baguette from the boulangerie, and they would talk to me in English again. And I'm like, no. And then, I did live with my partner's family for a while in France, and I did pick up quite a bit, but not enough.
But you speak the Lillois language?
A little bit.
Right.
I probably speak more French than Uhumiuch, but yeah. It's really hard to learn our language because there are so few language speakers.
Yeah.
And because it wasn't written down, there's so many different ways of spelling. And so it's really hard to pick up on. But I do have support from some language speakers in my nation that are helping me along the way.
And so that's more of a recent thing, that when you were a teenager, was there the language available at all to you? Or?
No, it was really hard to come across any kind of language program when I was a bit older. Nowadays, we do have Uhumiuch immersion, so the youth are learning it in school, which is absolutely amazing, and I really wish that was a thing when I was growing up.
Yeah. Sweet. So, big film contest coming up. Always shoots, always, modeling in, I know you said you have a yoga shoot coming up. Does it, and I only know this from speaking to a lot of other athletes and also from my own life, have you got past the point where, it feels like if I don't say yes to everything, it's going to go away?
Yeah, I think so. I have said no to a couple of opportunities just because they didn't align with who I am as a person or as an athlete. And yeah, especially with the ones where I feel like I'm being tokenized as an Indigenous person, I'm starting to sense that earlier on in conversation, and it's a lot easier to say no to those.
Yeah. Has there been a struggle with that where you're like, obviously this isn't totally in line with what I want, but if I say no, then it's going to maybe be somebody worse, or not, there'll be no Indigenous at all? Or has there been those kind of battles where you don't want to be a spokesperson for an entire, community? Or
yeah, it has happened. I'm really thankful for Jen Girardi, who I work with from Alto Mountain Marketing and Management, and she's been really amazing at sifting through things for me. And so in the beginning, before I had Jen, there were definitely occasions where I was doing something like, I don't think this is me. And so having her jump in on that end has been really, really amazing.
I imagine it helps that you're not, a 15-year-old kid anymore either. And you can, you have this decades of experience in the industry.
Yeah.
The industry's changing, do you think? How it seems to be changing for the better on all fronts, female representation, Indigenous, BIPOC. It's been a big, I'd say 5 or 6 years, it feels like.
Yeah, it's been really good, and I'm really hoping that momentum doesn't just slow down or peter out or whatever. I want to make sure that the youth can still have the opportunities that I'm now getting, which I didn't get until I was in my mid-30s. And I've been here since I was 16 years old. And so I just really, that's kind of the stories that I tell in the films that I'm creating are showcasing the local Indigenous youth in these sports. As we are here, we have a voice and we're powerful.
Yeah. And, your first film, is about a couple of local youth, skiing Mount Curry. You were the first Lil Wat Nation member to snowboard it, to ride it, to come down it. Or I know you call it just sliding down or something, right?
Yeah, I was the first indigenous person to slide that mountain.
Yeah.
Lil Wat. I'm not sure about indigenous. That's a
Right.
big call.
Right. And then you took Talon and Ricky up there, and that was your film, your first film, which was Slides on the Mountain, very well received film. What was that process like? I know you said you had some film school history, but how did it be like, okay, this is my movie, this is what I'm going to do, and then you pulled it off, and it became a huge thing?
Yeah, at first I met with Seth Gillis, who was the director, and we were chatting. He's like, "Oh, how do you feel about being in the producer position?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I can try that." Not knowing anything about what a producer did, immediately figuring out that I could not do this alone. And so Aline jumped in and did such an amazing job. And I was kind of there learning the steps along the way. And I'm really thankful that I was paying a little bit of attention, because now I'm director producer of the Diaries film. And it's a lot of work. And so without Seth and Aline beside me, that film would not have been a thing.
Right. What's the response been in the local community, in the nation, with Talon and Ricky? I know they've said that other kids are excited about seeing them, on the screen, on the mountain, doing these things. It must feel like, this is what I've been trying to do, and now we have this hard proof that it's kind of working. Yeah,
it's been, for the most part, really, really well received in the Lil Wat Nation, from what I've seen.
Yeah.
I haven't had any really negative comments about it. It's all like a learning process too, to make sure that the next time I do it, I kind of know the different steps to make sure that all of our Lil Wat protocols are being followed. And so we're all learning together, and everybody understands that, because of our history as Indigenous people, we all need to come together and learn from each other. And so I feel like that's kind of what's happening with me creating these films to tell our Lil Wat stories.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of precedent for homegrown film content out of the nation.
No.
Can you give us a teaser about your Dirt Diaries movie? I feel like these contest films are always a little bit like intense film school, where you're just thrown into the pot and you make a bunch of mistakes and you have to piece it together and save the day before the deadline, and somehow you pull it off, and you've learned maybe 6 or 8 months worth of film school in 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's been a really intense couple of months, that's for sure. Very, very much a really quick learning curve and steep learning curve. And yeah, I don't know. I'm really hoping that we can pull it together. But yeah, our film is basically a summer edition of Slides on the Mountain. So we've got another couple of Lil Wat boys that we're following around. I'm looking for the sisters, I swear.
Yeah.
We're just not there yet, but hopefully with a bit more representation, with Indigenous women doing these things, maybe we'll find some sisters out there.
For sure, I think it's bound to happen. You mentioned Seth, working with him. That you can learn a lot from the people you work with, but do you have sort of film mentors or heroes that you've always looked up to over the years?
I'm very new to the film industry, especially being behind the cameras, and I think just everybody that I've worked with has been really amazing. And yeah, Seth, just fully integrating himself into the Lil Wat community to learn as much as he could so that he could try to tell that story authentically. And he still feels that maybe he's got some learning to do, which we all do. And so having me there as that Lil Wat person has really helped. So we work together as a team very well. And with Dirt Diaries, having Shane Roy as my kind of main go-to guy has been the best thing that I could have asked for. He's worked with the two boys for a couple of years, because we actually showcased one of them in Deep Summer with Jeremy Allen a couple of years ago.
A photo competition.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so he's been working with these boys, and like integrating himself into the community as well. And he's really well known within the Lietwet Nation as an amazing photographer and ally. And so to have him by my side through this whole project has been like, I couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah. You're a bit of a quadruple threat. You know, we've covered 2 sports, filmmaking. You do a little bit of writing for Mountain Life. Does it feel now when you have a project or when you need to book a trip, or has your reputation, is it easier for you to get people to take your calls and to get these things done industry wise now that you're much more accomplished than you were 10 years ago?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like I still come across the same problems. Yeah, people know me a little bit in the sea to sky, but outside of that, I'm nobody.
Yeah.
And so to try to talk to these bigger brands to get support for, like, say, split board bindings and split boards and all of these things, it's still pretty hard. I am working with a couple of brands now that have started to reply to my emails, which is absolutely amazing. And I'm like super stoked to create new partnerships, but I think it's still pretty difficult.
On top of all this, you're training to be a guide. That's mostly winter, I guess, winter training.
Yeah, split board and heli ski.
And you don't compete in snowboard anymore. You still compete in bike?
I do the odd banked slalom because they're really fun
Right.
and a good atmosphere. But yeah, for biking, it's more for fun and social. I just came back from the Sturdy Dirty Women's Enduro down in Seattle, and I just had the best time meeting new women, and we're all just like there to have a good time. And it's not about the results. It's
Yeah.
about the community that is there and gaining new friendships.
It feels like one of the nice things about as the number of women has risen in all of these sports, and as the number of women-driven events has grown, it helps take a little bit of the ego out of the sports, which that was potentially a problem with some of these sports. It was a bit of a dick swinging contest, and that can lead to not always great things. It can lead you to push harder, but it can also lead to,
Yeah, I think a really good example of it is actually the Sturdy Dirty, because I was telling my boyfriend about my experience down there last night, and he's like, telling him about, the aid stations, we have picklebacks, and all these people are dressed in pickle onesies, and we made these bracelets at the other station. And he's like, are you there to race your bike or just to go and do crafts and have fun? I'm like, kind of both.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the huge difference between women's enduro contests and a regular enduro contest.
Yeah.
The regular enduro aid stations are all about just like hydration and getting your snacks and then heading out again.
Yeah. I think fun is a pretty important part of these outdoor sports that can be the first casualty of trying to take things into a professional level. Have you ever had to remind yourself, like, hey, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be having fun here? Or does that come naturally now? Has it always been easy for you to remember why you started doing these things in the first place?
I think it's always been easy for me to remember why I love snowboarding, why I love biking. I see a lot of people that go for their instructor certifications and they get jobs, and then they just stop doing it for personal fun. They just do it as work, and that's never been an issue for me.
Has there ever been a point where you're like, if I don't want to get hurt, I spoke to a guy who quit skiing because he said, I wake up in the morning and I'd look at my ski boots and I'd look at my snowboard boots. I know that if I put my ski boots on, I'm going to have to ride a snowmobile, hike up to the top of some crazy mountain, maybe jump off a 100-foot cliff. And if I put my snowboard on, I can just go ride the mountain with my friends. Has there anything been, as you grow up into adulthood here? I know we were talking about that, but as you age, how's your relationship with risk changed over the years?
I know some people would say that I still take a lot of risks, but again, a good example, Sturdy Dirty. I was supposed to compete in the expert category, and it was like 35, 36 degrees out, and I was thinking to myself, I'm not about to climb 1,300 meters in this heat and risk getting injured before Crankworx.
Yeah.
And we're still not done filming for Diaries. So I dropped down to the sport category because, yeah, is that remembering I'm here to have fun. It's not about results. And I was also dropping down so I could go and support another friend that was in that sport category and help her through it because she was really nervous as well.
Do you think you would have made the same decision 8-10 years ago?
Probably not. Even like a year ago, I probably would have just been like, no, I need to ride expert.
Right. So maturing.
In 1 year.
That's great. You're picking it up quickly.
I'm trying.
Adulthood, zero to hero.
I have a lot of people beside me telling me I need to slow down.
Right.
So it's starting to kind of get through to me.
What's the worst job you've ever had?
Tree planting.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that was hard. And it's early mornings. I'm not a morning person. I love that the bike park opens at 10 o'clock because that means I get to sleep in.
Yeah.
Tree planting was just hard. And it was just like a really hard time in my life as well. So like, I met some really amazing people and we did have some good times. But it was.
Where did you have to do that? Like northern BC or like?
Yeah, up near Terrace kind of area, Fort St. James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you made enough money to snowboard the whole next year?
No.
Oh.
I almost got kicked out because I was making less than minimum wage.
You were bad at it.
Oh, I was horrible. And yeah, our boss was just like, if you don't start planting more, you're not even really covering your camp costs. And I was like, oh, okay, I got to start working hard. And so I ended up staying the full contract, but yeah, I didn't make very much money at all.
Yeah. What was your first car?
A Honda Civic DX 1986, I believe. And I still see the thing around town.
It's still going.
It's crazy. I think it's the same. I don't know.
Yeah. How long was it yours for?
I think 2 or 3 years. And then I ran out of insurance. I was really young, right? I got it when I was 16.
Yeah.
And I ran out of insurance and I forgot to renew. And it was parked in the TELUS Conference Center parking lot. And then I got towed. And I had to pay like $800 to get it back. But as a young kid, I didn't have the money. So I was just like, all right, well, that's that. And it was left in the tow yard.
You run a really hectic schedule. I know you said you used to go to the spa a lot, but what's a downtime look for you? What do you do to relax?
I went to the lake yesterday. That was really nice. I have a hard time with downtime. Like I feel like I need to be active and I need to be doing something all the time. And
it's always been like that since you were a kid?
Yeah. I'm always outside. I'm always doing something. And it took my roommate yesterday to push me to go to the lake. And I loved it. It's so beautiful, so peaceful. I think I'm going to do that again today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You read?
Not really. I used to read quite a bit. But again, like just being active, like reading is just like so boring to me. But
do you think that the world is changing our brains and making it harder for us to focus on things like a book?
Oh, definitely. With like we're always on screens now.
Yeah.
Even books, they come on screens now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think we do need to try to make the time to sit down and be on our own without any kind of electronics around. But it is really hard.
Do you still go to the spa, the quiet spa, the Scandinave?
I haven't been for a while, actually.
Where they force you to do exactly that?
Yeah.
No screens, no talk?
I did love going there. I haven't been in a while. I haven't had the time or the access to the Scandinave in recent months.
What's your relationship with social media? Obviously, as an athlete, there has to be one. Do you have people that help with that, or do you have to take care of it all your own?
Oh, I do it all on my own. It's a lot of work, and I really don't like reels. They take a lot of time. And I'm always like, I'm supposed to be this filmmaker now, so my reels should be like banger.
Yeah, no,
and they're not.
Feel the same. Yeah, no, it's like if it's not Academy Award winning, I don't want to put it out there.
Yeah, it sucks.
And actually nobody cares because it lasts 10 seconds of their life and it's gone forever.
Oh, and the attention span of people is really, really minimal.
Yeah.
I look at it in like the insights and like how many seconds people watch on average is usually like below like 5 seconds or less.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of women athletes have sometimes challenges with just people being, the internet's full of anonymous pricks. Do you get that where you get gross messages or shitty comments and that kind of stuff?
No, I don't market myself as I don't I try not to like sexualize the sport in any way, so that kind of I feel like protects me from those comments.
Yeah.
I don't go into the comment section if I know I've done a podcast or something that is maybe a little bit not confrontational, but like somebody could take it the wrong way. I did go into the comment section once, and it was a really dark place, and so. Yeah. But I did see a lot of people commenting back in support of what I was saying, and so that was just kind of like my cue to be like, all right, comment section, not for me.
Yeah, never read the comments. I feel like if you want to fix society via the internet, just turn off comments. Like if there was the universal lords of the universe came and just said, you know what, there's no such thing as comments anymore, I think the world would be a better place.
I really think so. Even just this morning, I went into the comment section of something that was a little controversial, and it was gnarly, the racism and the hate that was in there. I was just like, all right, that's not how I want to spend my morning.
No.
So closed that.
It harshes the mellow pretty quickly.
Yeah, and went to look for some puppy content.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. I often will just go to Jess Camira and get all my kitten content out of the way.
Nice.
And then we're done. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I receive not a lot of like advice, but just like people giving their opinion on something that I'm about to do, and like I guess it was maybe 5 years ago, I was working with Marie Francois and Rupert Davies to do some kind of a backcountry program with some storytelling up in the Duffy, and COVID arrived and kind of blew that out of the water. And so we were just like, okay, well, we'll just go up and do some ropes practice on our own. And it was then that those two were like, hey, you should teach AST once. And then I had no thought of doing that kind of thing back then, and so that kind of, I guess, set me on the path to my guiding career. It was just the two comments from a lady that I've idolized my entire snowboard career, and Rupert Davies being just the guide that he is. Like, it just coming from them, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they believe in me. And I think that was the first time I ever felt that somebody actually believed in me.
Did you have a bike hero, like Mary France? It was your snowboard side. Was there a bike person that filled the same role for you?
No, I just started biking. Remember, I thought it was really nerdy when I was in school. Yeah, so I've only been riding for like six, 7 years.
So as an adult, you don't need heroes, right?
Oh no, but I look at the women of Crankworx all the time, and I'm just so inspired by them. Like Caroline Buchanan is such an amazing rider, and Vea Verbeek, like. Just there's so many women out there that are just pushing the sport and doing so good in their field. Like I'm inspired by them.
Busy schedule. You get time, hopefully, to reflect on what you've been doing every 4 or 6 months or whatever. But what makes you the most stoked these days?
My bike. Yeah. I never thought I'd say that, but yeah, I'm just so stoked on my bike right now. The bike that I received from Rocky Mountain this year is just the most amazing thing I've ever ridden, and has already pushed me to progress. I've only been riding it for like 3 weeks.
I know you said your brother was biking, and that's one of the reasons you thought it was nerdy. Have you had to apologize to him, or does he rub your nose in it a bit now that you're big into biking?
No, he doesn't bike himself anymore. His daughter-in-law is joining the program though, which I'm really excited about.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. The flip side of that is, what frustrates you the most these days?
Comment section on Instagram.
Yeah, me too.
No, I think it's just, I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot that frustrates me in like, I guess, the social media world. I just don't like it, and I wish I could just put that phone away. But no, there's like just a lot of people that don't get why it's important for us to have these programs like I'm running with Indigenous Women Outdoors and the bike program with the Lietwet Youth. It's not a regular program, and people, I think don't understand why we need those programs. And it's hard for an outsider to understand it. But like me coming from those programs is direct evidence that they are necessary. We don't see very many Indigenous people in the outdoors. And why is that? And because it's so inaccessible, not just for gear, but for knowledge and having that safe space to learn.
Yeah, and I mean, the old saying is, if you can see it, you can be it, right? And obviously, even just your guide story of not knowing any splitboard guides, you know, now there's a world where any young girl or boy or anyone can say, oh yeah, there's a splitboard guide, there's a splitboard guide, I can be a splitboard guide, and that hurdle's no longer exists.
Yeah. It's still there as an Indigenous person, though. Like, there are no Indigenous ski tour splitboard guides out there that I know of.
But you're going to be one.
Yeah, hopefully.
And then there'll be another one, right?
Yeah.
And then some kid will be like, well, Sandy can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's why these programs are important.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that people don't have a hard time understanding that.
Yeah. I had a girl, it was, I think, last year, reached out to me. And she just came up from the Indigenous Life Sport Academy snow program and asked me how I got a job in the outdoors. And she wanted to get a job in the outdoors like me. And now she's at the Capilano outdoor program this year. So yeah, she's figured it out, and I'm trying to help her with anything if she needs help. So
it's good she's going to school. I'm not sure. I mean, I've been in this outdoor industry a long time. I've grown up with it most of my whole life. I feel like, you know, the kids working at Starbucks have an education fund that they can dip into and health insurance. And like, I think of some of these athletes that are putting their lives on the line for, you know, these multinational brands. Have they got health insurance? Have they got, you know, a fund where they can go to do some courses to become an electrician in their spare time? Or some brands probably do, and I think a lot don't. And when I was younger, I think none of them did. But does it feel? I always felt like the outdoor industry kind of eats their young a little bit, and there's always a younger kid coming up that'll do something more extreme. And I kind of think that mindset is shifting a little bit industry wide. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think when I was coming up as a half-pipe snowboarder, it was always like who was sending it the biggest and who was the gnarliest out there. And now it's kind of shifted to who's doing good for community.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be the most sendy person. It's what else are you doing? Like, yeah, you're really good at this sport, but are you doing something to give back to community? And I think brands are really starting to focus on athletes that are more well-rounded and not just the big senders.
And I guess that's one of the benefits of the social media is that makes a better story, right? Yeah. A well-rounded person. In the old days, it was a magazine photo of a fantastic air to fakie in the half pipe or something, which is awesome. But now, because everything's video driven, you're right. A more well-rounded person is actually a better story.
Yeah. Well, look, I got a 2-page spread in the last mountain life.
Yeah.
I'm not the gnarliest mountain biker out there, but you can still do things.
That also, let the record show, though, that was probably 8 hours in to a night shoot. Like, you put in the work for that.
It was actually really funny because I was standing on that rock roll, I think the day before, and we were at the Porca Women's Bike Club. And we were all just like, oh, yeah, like this rock roll. And I said I didn't want to do it because I had Spud Crusher that weekend. And then it was...
What's Spud Crusher, a race?
Yeah, it's the women's enduro in Pemberton.
Right. So you didn't want to get hurt.
I didn't want to get hurt. I wanted to make sure I was ready for the contest or for the race. And then it was 6 hours or 8 hours before the race in the dark.
Under the northern lights.
Under the northern lights, we had to hit it. And I was just like, you know what, whatever, like I have to do this because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And so, yeah, it was the first time I ever hit that rock wall was with a flash in my eyes at, I think, like 12 o'clock at night under the northern lights.
I mean, it's interesting as a magazine, right, which I love having something to hold in your hands. Obviously, it looks so much nicer as a double page spread than it does on a little phone screen. But in the old days, like, you know, that picture was huge online. We would say, well, everyone's already seen it. We can't put it out. Like, we need to find a picture nobody's seen. But those days are gone. Mm-hmm. And also, nobody's seen it that big.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was pretty close. The Northern Lights happened right before print deadline. Like,
Yeah, that was crazy. I'll never forget that night.
It was crazy.
But yeah, to have something in print is so much different than having it just digitally on a phone. Arc'teryx just put out the coffee table book called Detours, and it's just a book about all the films that came out last year, and Slides on the Mountain is involved in that. And just to have that hard copy of my first project is really amazing. It just sits on our coffee table.
Have you ever walked into a store and there's like a giant billboard of you or like a cutout?
Oh my gosh. On the back window of Evo, the skate shop in the village, and it's so funny to see me just there with my traditional name and everything. It was really cool to see that. And that's the only time I've ever come across something like that. Although, no, there was one at the Apple store in Pacific Center a couple of years ago that someone took a photo of and sent it to me. I was like, whoa, I'm climbing.
You've got an Apple contract? No. They just hire day models, right?
There was the photographer that I guess like sent it in. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was back before I knew anything about contracts and getting paid or anything, and that's why I'm really thankful I have Jen now.
Totally. Yeah, I know my friend was in an iPod television commercial. No free iPod.
Yeah, you don't even get a free iPhone.
What scares you these days? I'm scared that this microphone's going to fall off because it's held together with electrical tape. But yeah, what are you scared of? Anything? Snakes, spiders, heights, anything?
Oh, all of that. Not heights, but yeah, snakes and spiders. No, I can't do that. But no, really, injuries these days. Yeah. I've spent 6 months of my life injured last year. And so this year I'm like really, I think that's maybe why I'm taking that step back and being able to have those rest days is just because I don't want to get injured.
Yeah. And has the day-to-day program, are you stretching more? Have you changed anything else in your life to sort of prevent injuries? Or is it just like ease off on the gas a little bit?
Just easing off, making sure I have those rest days. I do try to get to the gym. It's just really hard,
It's hard when it's 35 degrees and beautiful at the lake.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your greatest extravagance or guilty pleasure?
I have rarely told myself no to anything. So I kind of like, if I want something, I'll go and buy it, or I'll go and do that activity. So I don't know. I never tell myself no.
You don't waste a lot of time. You don't sit around watching Love Island or anything like that?
No, I don't really watch TV actually.
Yeah.
I'm just always outside. So I don't know.
I want to talk a little bit about beading. That's actually, before I knew anything about you, I just heard that you used to come over to our mutual friend Amy's house and teach everybody how to make beads.
Yeah, I did that once. It was really hard.
Right. Yeah.
It was called I think we called it wine and bead night.
You
so
just kind
all
of
the
dropped
ladies
into it as an expert, but you weren't really an expert? Or?
No, it was just like teaching people how to bead, especially when they've had a few glasses of wine, is just not a thing that should be done. It was really hard.
But you've been beading, like you bead?
I used to bead quite a bit. I haven't in recent years just because I've been so busy with running the programs for the kids. I run the programs for Indigenous Women Outdoors, and then also on top of that, all the contracts and things that I have on the go. So I haven't had a lot of time.
It feels like it would be very meditative.
Yeah, I used to bead all the time when I was working at Squamish Rafting. Right. Just behind the desk beading all day.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was great.
Getting paid to bead.
Yeah.
What talent would you most like to have? Or is there something that you really wish you could do that you haven't?
So when you have these dreams where you're like really just boosting out of like the half pipe or like sending these crazy tricks on the bike, I wish I had that talent.
Yeah. Well, you're working towards it.
Yeah.
Who do you think has the smoothest half pipe style ever?
Oh, man. I used to really love Louis Vito. I thought he was just so cool, so smooth, and he was like a little bit gangster too, so I loved him.
My favorite, it's before your time, but I mentioned it earlier, Air to Fakie, but Guy Duchesne, Air to Fakie out the half pipe, huge.
Nice.
It was the best. I like those just smooth, simple tricks.
Yeah.
What do you value most in your friends?
I guess honesty and just being there. you know, when you're needed or when they're needed, and being there for them too, of course. If with all of this going on in my life, I've had a lot of ups and downs, and you can really tell who your true friends are when they stick beside you when you're in those really low lows.
Yeah. And are you the kind of person that will dwell on, you know, mistakes? Or I know you said, you know, what you're doing is, a lot of this stuff has never been done. And you know, even in the community and the nation, like we're figuring this out together, and we're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. But do you beat yourself up about stuff or have a lot of regrets?
I definitely beat myself up a lot. I'm really hard on myself. And what comes to mind is, you know, that meme in Alice in Wonderland where the cat's like, we're all mad here. And Alice is like, at me? That is me. If you show any kind of anger towards me or you're upset at me, it sits with me for so long and I can't get rid of that. And that's the thing that I'm trying to work so hard on, because
it's always been that way for you.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what other people think of you. It's what you think of yourself. I know that, and I tell myself that all the time, but it's really hard for me to put that into practice.
I can relate to that. I was the kid when they call you to the office at school, and you're like, I'm pretty sure I didn't do anything wrong, but I must have. I'm going down.
Yeah, that is 100% me.
What's next?
After Dirt Diaries?
Yeah. What's the rest of your summer and then winter look like?
After Dirt Diaries, chill. It's been a crazy, crazy couple of months, like I said. So I just want to chill for a little bit. We have the Arc'teryx Climbing Academy at the end of August, but in between the two events, I don't think I have much going on other than just regular programming with the youth. And yeah, that's kind of it. I do have ideas for the next film, which I do need to pitch to a few companies. So
it'll be winter or summer?
It'll be winter. It's been an idea that I've had for, I think, 3 or 4 years now. And every time I tell it to people, they just get super stoked. So I do want to make this film, but I'm just trying to find the right time in my life to do it.
I would say, keep on it, because I feel like these ideas, good ideas, they want to get out. And so if you have a great idea and you don't move on it, that idea is going to find somebody who will. Right?
Oh, that's the thing about my ideas, though.
Nobody else can do it.
You can't tell my stories.
Lucky. I think that's the best way to go then.
Yeah.
What we'll finish it out with the kids. I know you work with children a lot, but do you have a piece of advice for all these kids out here? You know, they could be indigenous kids or just any kids. What should these kids know, you know, to go forward in life?
Just don't listen to anybody if they're giving you negative feedback. Like, there's a difference between negative feedback and constructive feedback. And I think I dwelled a lot on the negative, and that is why I didn't start that guiding career until I was, 34 years old. And so just believing in yourself and believing in your heart and where you want to go, you can do anything you want.
There we go. Sandy, thanks very much.
Thank you.
We'll see you at Dirt Diaries. This is coming out like the day before. So everybody go to Crankworx and go to Dirt Diaries and scream real loud for Sandy's film. Do we have a title, or we can't release it, or?
It's in the works right now.
All right. There we go. Even the title's going to be a surprise.
Yeah.
Let's get this done so you can go to the lake.
Yes.
Right? That was awesome. Sandy's the coolest. And she's working her literal butt off to chase down her dreams while also making a better world for the generations to come. And that might be the secret, mountain lifers. Do things for others selflessly and see what happens. I promise you'll like it. Okay, that's it for this week. Pod 50. What a trip. I'm starting to feel more comfortable with the whole podcasting gig, so hopefully the next 50 episodes should be excellent. I'm not sure what Colin has coming down the pipes in 2 weeks, but after that we're going to have legendary photographer Blake Jorgensen on the show. One of the smartest, most creative, and awesomest people in the game. You do not want to miss a conversation with Blake. So thank you, mountain lifers, for your time and your ear holes over the past hour and over the past couple of years. And if you can't wait for the next pod to come, be sure to hit up mountainlifemedia.ca for the latest and greatest dispatches from the Mountain Life multiverse. And you can also buy sick Mountain Life swag at the store to wow and impress your friends and make your enemies jealous. Thank you also to Shirai Rules for the voiceovers off the top and Adrian Gendro for the guitar licks. After 50 episodes, some people might think we want to switch those up, and maybe we will. But it'll be Shirai and Adrian again if we do. Those two are both down since day one. And when you're trying something new, that kind of support means a lot. All right, let's wrap it up. Thanks again for listening. Have a beautiful summer. Make sure you check out Sandy's flick in Dirt Diaries if you are in Whistler on Wednesday the 24th, and watch for it online shortly thereafter if not. Otherwise, take care of yourselves, mountain lifers. Be kind to each other. Obey the fire bans. Make sure to leave the campsite better than you found it. I know, yeah. Be careful on those paddle boards. Those things are affecting your personal brand.